Good morning. Today is Monday, June 23rd, 2025. This is your daily collective tarot and oracle reading on Jade Emerald Green. I want to say thank you to everybody who came out to Bremen Cafe for the vendor market. It was very fun. It was hot. It was windy. Got to do some readings, got to sell some products, and yeah, I got to meet some really great new people. So I am very happy with how that turned out. I also want to give a big word of appreciation to Alter Milwaukee in Bayview. They announced yesterday that as of July 1st, they are closing the brick and mortar store. However, they are not done with the sacred work that they do. I know for me that Alter has been, life-changing is an understatement. They have been a big influence on me doing, being of service in this way, actually now, with doing readings, in the way that I do them now. And I just want to say that it is really, it's not a store that makes the store a store. It is the people. And everyone that I have encountered that has been a staff member of Alter has been amazing in their own right and have been so kind with their time, their energy, their resources. I cannot emphasize enough how they deserve all the great good in the world. So I want to give a shout out to Alter Milwaukee, who I will be frequenting from now through June 30th, leading into July 1st. So I am very thankful for this weekend, and even Saturday. Saturday was, for me, I was helping my grandmother clear some things out of her house, and it was a big family day. We got to spend together, and yeah, I'm very thankful for that. So today, well, the moon is still in Gemini, sun is still in Cancer, but we may want to look and prepare ourselves for the days in the days coming, because we have the new moon in Cancer right before it turns to Leo. So that's on Thursday. And then we also have Mercury going into Leo on Thursday as well. So we're starting to have our Leo energies come about still early in the Cancer season. I think that's kind of why yesterday when we went over the moon and Gemini stuff, that we were able to kind of discuss that we need to be able to learn how to expand our network and balance the listening and expressing, so doing the dialogue and things like that, because that is helpful with a Leo season coming up. So okay, this reading today, I did do a take of this just now, right? You're not gonna see that take because I don't like the way my hair has been. I need to get my hair done. So hoodie on, period, right? But after going through it once, I'm going through it with you now on the take that I am going to use. So I'm not here for another 40 minutes. However long this is going to take, I don't know if it's necessarily going to take as long, but it's a powerful one. I think they all are, but I think in this way, what we're dealing with right now, because it's so many heavy energies that are out in the world right now, I think it's just simply reflected in this. So let's get started by asking our always favorite first question. What the fuck are we doing here? 3 of Swords, y'all. Who has disappointed you? Who has broken your heart? Who has not met your expectations time after time after time again? It doesn't necessarily need to be one person. It could be multiple people. Or it could be an entity. From the macro to the micro, this is a card that deals with us having to learn. I think that's why it's in the suit of the mind, the swords, as opposed to being in the suit of the heart, which would be the cups. Even though it has to deal with heartbreak, it deals more so with our processing our mental processing of it. So we are dealing with some heavy energy, either through our recent past or our present or maybe even our future. We have to be on the lookout for things. Or are there things that are in your life that are really not serving your higher purpose? Sometimes we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't know if that's really the turn of phrase, if that's the correct turn of phrase, but sometimes we have to do things that are hard, make hard decisions, because we know something is not serving our higher purpose. And if it's not serving our higher purpose, to keep that thing around would do a disservice to both ourselves and to the other person or the other entity. So that's what we're dealing with today. And I think everything else that comes and follows is going to be confirming that, because we have our moon back in our what the fuck we should do about it position that deals with us having a high sense of self-reliance, honoring our intuition, getting our intuitive skills up, not being afraid to be alone. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic situation either. It could deal with just friends, family, deal with your job. Like, there's a greater need to rely on yourself so that you are not disappointed by external factors. We talked about the moon, I think, more in detail the other day when it was in the same position. So, things that recur are really comforting to me in a sense, because it deals with consistency. Like, how consistent are we? And I think in this case, the question is, yes, how consistent are we with engaging with our sense of self-reliance, engaging with our intuition. And speaking of consistent cards, where's the fuckery at? We are back with the Knights of Pentacles, y'all. Happy to say for those who are happy about it, sorry to say for those who are sorry about it. But it being in this position rather than just our situation is letting us know, at least on this particular day, that while slow and steady does tend to run the race, right now is not the time for slow. Right now is perhaps a time for quick and steady. Our pace sometimes is a determining factor in how situations pan out. You can be like, oh, I have every intention of getting to something or doing something, but if you're not picking up the pace, somebody may beat you to it. I think being in this position kind of symbolizes also a crossroads of sorts. The pace that we're moving is not the pace of life, so we have to kind of figure that out. How are we gonna move things in the motion that life is moving while still honoring ourselves? So what happens when we do what the fuck we're supposed to do? Look, my favorite card ever, I know I have a lot of favorites, but this is my favorite, the Empress. Now, one thing I'll tell you about the Empress, during the time I was going through a recent breakup that was not going well. Like, everything that could have went wrong in this breakup did go wrong, okay? And I was doing a lot of terrible reads for myself, but in the process, one of the cards kept coming up was the Queen of Wands, but the other card that kept coming up was the Empress. And that purpose, I know with Spirit, it serves to remind me of who the fuck I am. And that while I wasn't deserving of the treatment that I experienced, that what somebody else couldn't give to me, I can absolutely give to myself. And ultimately, we all have everything that we need. Like, it's not that we absolutely need somebody else to fulfill all of our wishes, or another entity, or multiple people. It's just that when we would just like to see a reflection of what how we feel about ourselves internally, the work that we do internally. We like to see it reflected externally because we like materialization. I won't say manifesting because I don't want to cheapen the message of this read, but materialization is important. So yes, embody your divine feminine. More so, embody your higher self. I don't think it necessarily you have to be tapped in with the super feminine to have a greater sense of your divinity. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what we need. And what we don't need as a likely outcome, aka what the fuck fuckery, is the Seven of Cups, right? When you're moving at a pace that is not the pace that life is, sometimes the reason for that could be indecision. Make a decision. Don't be like dude over here. Okay? I'm reminded of the phrase freedom is slavery, and I believe that is from 1984 by George Orwell. And while I do have various feelings about that quote, in the context of our socio-political space and just me being my big black self, I also know, just in context with what the plot is in the book, how sensible it is, because we sometimes we just need to make a choice. Sometimes staying outside of the realm of your greater decision-making skills serves as a hindrance to you. Sometimes we don't want to be biased. Sometimes we don't want to appear like we are supporting something that's wrong, or you get what I'm saying. Like, I understand that there's various reasons why we want to kind of take more time to make decisions, but if you don't, you may end up paying a greater price. Sometimes the decision is made for you, and it's not the decision you would have ultimately made. So I think just being cognizant of like your Seven of Cups energy. Yeah, you want to have paths in life. Yeah, you want to perhaps solve things in a certain way and try to, wait and see. But sometimes you have to be the proactive one. And that also serves like this Empress and this Magician energy. As far as our clarifier today, Magician is also back. So we had 3 cards that have been in recent rotation that are back. But yes, like this is all about our tapping into our higher self and our higher power. We have to be reminded of who the fuck we are. So let this reading remind you, you're you, and you're great. And furthermore, you have what it takes. Okay, so moving into our oracle pools here, it gets to be a bit more challenging, but I assure you that everything is going to be okay. Starting with our prism pools, we have isolation and caution. Do you feel isolated right now? Do you feel like you're isolating yourself, or you feel like your social circles attempting to isolate you, or your president is trying to isolate us as a country? I don't know. Not a sponsor. Also, I want to clarify that I've been boycotting a lot, and boycotting is ultimately a privilege in some ways. So, but I want to clarify here. Isolation isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's voluntary isolation, and then there's involuntary isolation. But even with the involuntary isolation, there often becomes a greater reason for that, and that is for you to expand your sense of inner knowing. And for that, to increase your intuition is to increase your sense of caution. Sometimes we think the best of people. We see their potential. We see what they can possibly be. And that's, that's been me. But we cannot operate based off of what someone's potential is. We have to operate based off of who they are at that current moment. And if we don't, then we seek to take on a load that is not ours to bear. So exercise caution, in this moment, y'all. Another returning card, character, entity, Heath Ledger. Now, we originally spoke about Heath, I believe it was on June 18th. And we kind of got a little bit into his life and, into the catchphrase here, the show must go on. I think that when we think about all of our shoulda, coulda, woulda beens and the Three of Swords, it is great to have such a reminder, because that's the reality of life. Life don't stop life, and just because we ended up in a situation that we want to cry about, or that we want to fuss about, or like that, it hurt us. Sometimes we want to stay in the hurt and we don't want anything to go on, but whether we like it or not, life does go on. So that's kind of why you can't stay stuck in something. You can be a Knight of Pentacles all you want in your field from time to time, but when it's time to pick up the pace and move that horse, you got to move that horse. You have to get back on the horse. Okay? So yes, the show must absolutely go on. Regardless of anything, especially when you have these salacious ass pulls today from the What's the Tea and Broken Mirrors, okay? Threatening, intimidating, threatened, bothered. I might as well just pull this one before saying anything else. Fighting, trust issues, one-sided, detached. So the imagery here is very daunting, right? You got a guy with a gun in his hand, and you got something that looks like a pre-DV situation going on in the other card. So I can definitely see how, this is definitely from the Three of Swords energy. Sometimes love can get toxic, and the person who was supposed to love you can threaten you, or can try to fight you. Like, period. Those things do literally happen. Right now I am recovering from one of my injuries from that situation, where someone who was supposed to love me ends up threatening me and stealing my stuff and doing all this stuff. But like right now I'm in physical therapy for my left shoulder because there's a tear in there from when I was pushed to the ground. Loving's not supposed to hurt like that, y'all. So if you are in a situation where you feel physically threatened, or someone's attempting to fight you, like, of course, do your best to get out, but also, like, please work to find community resources that can assist in this area. A lot of metropolitan areas do have them. A lot of them may be underfunded and need more resources, but are still happy to help. So please reach out to us. Just so you know, I, as someone who is an abolitionist, I will never recommend that you call the cops. I'm sorry. I'm not a cop caller. But I will always recommend that you engage in community resources and that you do everything possible to protect your safety, including self-defense. So, but not all of the energy that I'm getting here from these cards are necessarily dealing with physical violence. There are many, many forms of violence. There's the emotional abuse, of course, verbal abuse, mental. There's gossip. Gossip is a form of violence, y'all, in case y'all did not know. I know we have so many websites that, like, that's how they make their money. It's through gossip, through rumors, through all of this and that. But also, it's a form of violence because, you know, speaking confidently about something that is not verified to be true. You know, depending on the topic, I know when we think of gossip a lot, we think of like entertainment and things like that, or even our like the personal lives of our political figures or something like that. But, you know, even in like the individual lives, speaking confident on something that is not verified to be true, or, you know, could be have elements of the truth, but like basically what they call half truths. That means that someone is distorting the truth, which is also a form of an untruth, a lie. So, to engage in that, either not knowing what the truth is or fully knowing that it's not the truth, yeah, that's harmful. So there are many forms of violence here, and so we have to make sure that, number one, we're not engaging in that way. That if it's not a matter of like actual self-defense, that we are not proactively engaging in violence in any type of way. Also, we have to be wary of those in our lives who like to fight. Maybe they don't like to fight us, but if they like to fight, eventually that energy is going to turn your way, because they don't know how to handle conflict. Some people don't know how to handle conflict, so they choose violence. And it's not always going to be physical. Sometimes it will be the mental. Sometimes it will be the verbal. Sometimes it will be the emotional. Sometimes it will be through gossip. So that's why it's important, like, when in doubt, choose isolation. It is okay to be with yourself. I know it's only natural that we crave to be social as well, you know, but at a certain point, it's like, what's more important? A false sense of community or your sanity? You gotta choose, baby. I choose me personally. Okay. So moving on, it becomes even more important, the things that I'm saying here based off of the Dark Confessions card. I depend on you too much to let go. I have codependency issues. Is that you? It was me at one point. But whether we are ones who are codependent or we are experiencing someone else's codependency, a lot of times, not all the time, a lot of the dynamic is between a codependent and a narcissist. You know, like a codependent ends up receiving attachment from a narcissist, and then that's how that dynamic plays out within relationships, and it never ends well. Okay, so I have to be cognizant, if that is you, to really figure out what your resources are to get help. Once again, community resources, sliding scale therapists, you know. There is a community out there that also deals with like codependency issues. So if you go seek out your support groups and things like that, that could really be a help, and just really prioritizing your mental health at that point, you know. If you have someone that you know is a codependent and you're seeing them struggle and it's hard to witness, you know, not everyone is of the seeking spirit, not everyone is going to be ready, but maybe do a check-in to see where they're at, or the level of readiness is, because a lot of people who are codependent tend to have violence, you know, and have to endure violence in some way, and that's not okay. I think in the macro sense, I depend on you too much to let you go. I have codependency issues. That's also us making the same damn mistakes on the world stage. How the fuck we gonna get through 03, 04, 05, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled again. How we gonna go through all that just to circle right back around the block and do the same shit with a different country? I'm so tired. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, America is codependent upon war without congressional approval. Like, we're codependent upon that. And it's frustrating to see because the stakes are so much higher now. And all we can do, I'm not mad at anybody making a joke. I'd be making jokes. We've been making jokes about World War III for 10 years, okay? And I know it doesn't change our situation. I know people are saying, okay, get serious, because it's, yes, make you a to-go bag while you are sending out that meme. Like, don't stop the humor just because you got to do what you need to do to protect yourself. That's how I feel. You can have both. I need to have joy in this situation. Not that I want joy out of someone's death or potential death, but this situation really goes to show that all these leaders care about is themselves anyway. So, like, why would I take you serious if you're not doing serious shit apart from fucking shit up? Seriously. But you're not doing serious shit of substance. Yeah, I am gonna clown you. So that's what I'm feeling from this card and from the macro. Like, okay, so leading us to our angelic connections, though, this is where the protection lies. You may find yourself inspired to look up at the clouds overhead. There it is, an angel in all its glory watching over you. The protective forces of the universe include angels and includes a concept called Shoten-Zenjin, which is, universal protection manifested through human beings in our lives, or situations in our lives. So, don't ever doubt that even when you are in a threatening situation, that your angels are here for you, that your protective entities are here to support you. Whether you're religious, spiritual, or not really spiritual at all. Everyone has a force of protection around them. How we engage with it kind of determines how strongly it acts. But we all do have that. I know that for sure. And finally, we have our timing deck oracle. So based off of the reading, the question I asked was, at what point will we see us being the victors? And this is like, not in consideration, not necessarily like, like when the problem is done, like when will we be victorious over our problem? When will we be away from the threats, away from the fighting, not having to use our cautionary senses all the fucking time. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like saying when that is over per se, but like when will we win over ourselves? Is essentially the question. When will we see ourselves the victor? When will we stop doubting ourselves? When will we move forward in a faster pace than when the Knight of Pentacles is moving? So the first card that came out was and I'm dropping it. Indecision is causing delays. Second card that came out was it's the wrong time. Now, this doesn't give a particular time frame to anything. This could be in right now for this moment, but based off of your realization of what this moment is for you, then the very next moment could be the right time. So you get what I'm saying? Like, it's based off the wrong timing is based off of the indecision. It's based off of your what the fuck fuckery. Your illusion of freedom, your illusion of choice, freedom and slavery, all that. You got to pick up the pace and make a decision, y'all, in order to see the victorious nature of your life. So, ultimately, though these cards came out, what I'm telling you is you can turn any wrong time into the right time once you make a decision. And the decision is choosing you. Okay? So, in conclusion here, I just want to say that heartbreak is essential. It sucks. But even if we just experience it one time, it is essential in learning things that we do not want and the things that we really do want. Okay, so do not lament over heartbreak, over threats, over fighting. Always keep yourself safe. One of the things that I am learning through my journey through African spiritual science is that this concept of I am free from resentment from the experience of wrongdoing. So I take that to mean a few things. It doesn't mean you don't stand up for yourself. It doesn't mean that you are, passive in any way. But what it does mean is that you free yourself from the heaviness that often can come with experiencing wrongdoing, experiencing people gossiping, lying, threatening, fighting you. The experience of wrongdoing always can serve as a redirection. It can even serve as protection, because had we stayed in that situation, things could be very much worse. So don't ever think that that because you don't hold on to something, that you're being weak in some sort of way. Sometimes your strength just lies in choosing yourself and reprioritizing. So I want to emphasize that. If people have an interest in learning more about either Nichiren Buddhism or African spiritual science, please let me know. I'll be happy to direct you to resources with those. But at this time, I want to thank you for listening to your daily collective tarot and oracle reading on Jade Emerald Green. It's an honor to do this each day. It's helpful for me as well. And I will see you tomorrow. Ciao.